Good morning, everyone. This is the first video I've made in a while, so instead of just reading the headlines, we'll go beyond the headlines. I'm going to delve into the deceptions, corruptions, and infiltrations that goes on behind the scenes that's actually culminated into what we've seen being played out in front of us, mostly by the media, from the movies to the news. I'll be talking about everything from the Beatles to JFK to Operation Paperclip to MK Ultra, Operation Northwoods, everything on this channel. I don't know how to cut and edit videos just yet, so I'll figure it out as I go along. So my videos will be raw. I do apologize for that. I'm not politically correct, so don't expect me to be. I have a southern drawl, that southern twang going on, so again, bear with me. Everything I cite will be in the description box below. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to be talking about is Operation Mockingbird. I didn't know where to begin. I didn't know whether to start with Operation Paperclip or what to do. So I just decided on Mockingbird because what are we seeing in the media today? The same thing. Every channel you turn to, it's the same information. Every news organization you go to, it's the same information. Except for, like the Gateway Pundit and I like Zero Hedge real well. And so the best thing to do, I think, is to lay out what Mockingbird is. Most of you out there probably already know what it is, but let's go over it, summarize it, and then we'll go deeper. I've been trying to find a clip of George W. Bush Jr., talking and laughing about propaganda, and when I find it, I'll play it. I haven't been able to find it. It's been years ago. They probably scrubbed it from the internet, but, we wouldn't expect any less from them now, would we? And I'm going to be jumping around in the article to what I think is important, and like I said before, I'll put the links in the description below. And I found this at archive.org, and it's called The Full Text of CIA Operation Mockingbird, How the CIA Controls the Media Collection/Documents. And it starts out saying everything you ever wanted to know about the CIA but were afraid to find out, and that is the truth. I've been looking into this stuff. I used to have notebooks and notebooks full of information, but I moved and wasn't able to take that with me. Got lost in the move, I guess. But if I find it, it'll be a great source of information. So, I'm going to go ahead and read this. Since this is my first video in a long time, I'm really nervous. So, again, bear with me. I'm just going to read this time. And then if you guys have any questions, leave it down in the comments, or have any comments, throw them out there to me, and we'll go from there. We'll make it a community thing. Okay, it says Operation Mockingbird, CIA Media Manipulation by Mary Louise. The CIA's secret activities, covert missions, and connections of control are all done under the pretense and protection of national security with no accountability whatsoever, at least in their minds. Considering the public is held accountable for everything we think, say, and do, there is something seriously wrong with this picture. The CIA is the president's secret army who have been and continue to be conveniently above the law with unlimited power and authority to conduct a reign of terror around the globe. That sounds like the CIA, don't it? Yeah, and then MI6, Mossad. Yeah, that's my own commentary. I'll be throwing my own commentary out there too. The old boy network, quote unquote, of socializing, talking shop, and tapping each other for favors outside the halls of government made it inevitable that the CIA and corporate America would become allies. Thus, the systematic infiltration and takeover of the media, Under the guise of American objectives and lack of congressional oversight, the CIA accomplished their exploits by using every trick in the book, and they know quite a few, that they actually teach in the notorious School of the Americas, nicknamed the School of Dictators and School of Assassins by critics. That School of Assassins, that's pretty good. I haven't heard that one before, but I like it. The Association for Responsible Dissent estimates that 6 million people had died by 1987 as a result of CIA covert operations called an American Holocaust by former State Department official William Blum. In 1948, the CIA recreated its covert action wing called the Office of Policy Coordination with Wall Street lawyer Frank Wisner as its first director. Another early elitist who served as a Wall Street lawyer, Frank Wisner, as its first director. Another early elitist, I just read that. I'll do it again. Another early elitist served as director of the CIA from 1953 to 1961 was Allen Dulles, a senior partner at Wall Street firm of Sullivan and Cromwell, which represented the Rockefeller Empire and other trusts, corporations, and cartels. Starting in the early days of the Cold War, the late 1940s, the CIA began a secret project called Operation Mockingbird, with the intent of buying influence behind the scenes at major media outlets and putting reporters on the CIA payroll, which has proven to be a stunning ongoing process, I'll say. I mean, look at Anderson Cooper, guys. I mean, talk about a CIA shield. Okay, the CIA recruit American news organizations and journalists to become spies and disseminators of propaganda was headed up by Frank Wisner, Allen Dulles, and Richard Helms, and Philip Graham, publisher of the Washington Post. Wisner had taken Graham under his wing to direct the program codenamed Operation Mockingbird, and both had presumably committed suicide. Again, that goes back to the School of Assassins, right? I mean, do we really think that they committed suicide? I don't think so. Not when the CIA is involved. Anyway, moving on. Media assets will eventually include ABC, NBC, CBS, Time, Newsweek, Associated Press, United Press International, or the UPI, Reuters, Hearst Newspapers, Scripps Howard, Copley News Service, etc., and 400 journalists who have secretly carried out assignments according to documents on file at CIA headquarters, from intelligence gathering to serving as go-betweens. The CIA had infiltrated the nation's businesses, media, and universities with tens of thousands of on-call operatives by the 1950s. CIA Director Dulles had staffed the CIA almost exclusively with Ivy League graduates, especially from Yale, with figures like George Herbert Walker Bush from the Skull and Bones Society. Many Americans still insist or persist in believing that we have a free press, while getting most of their news from state-controlled television under the misconception that reporters are meant to serve the public. Reporters are paid employees and serve the media, who usually cower when challenged by advisors or major government figures. Okay, and here's where it gets real interesting. It goes on to say that Robert Perry reported the first breaking stories about Iran-Contra for Associated Press that were largely ignored by the press and Congress. Then moving to Newsweek, he witnessed a retraction of a true story for political reasons. In Fooling America, a talk by Robert Perry, he said, and this is important, "The people who succeed and did well were those who didn't stand up, who didn't write the big stories, who looked the other way when history was happening in front of them, and went along either consciously or by cowardice with the deception of the American people." I mean, that's a huge, huge statement. And he put it out there. And we'll have to find out what happened to him. Major networks are primarily controlled by giant corporations that are obligated by law to put the profits of their investors ahead of all other considerations, which are often in conflict with the practice of responsible journalism. There were around 50 corporations a couple of decades ago, which was considered monopolistic by many, and yet today these companies have become larger and fewer in number as the biggest ones absorb their rivals. This concentration of ownership and power reduces the diversity of media voices as the news falls into the hands of large conglomerates with holdings in many industries that interferes in news gathering because of conflicts of interest. Mockingbird was an immense financial undertaking with funds flowing from the CIA largely through the Congress for Cultural Freedom, founded by Tom Brayton with Pat Buchanan of CNN's Crossfire. Media corporations share members of the board of directors with a variety of other large corporations, including banks, investment companies, oil companies, healthcare, pharmaceutical, and technology companies. Until the 1980s, media systems were generally domestically owned, regulated, and national in scope. However, pressure from the IMF, World Bank, and U.S. government to deregulate and privatize the media, communication, and new technology resulted in a global commercial media system dominated by a small number of super powerful transnational media corporations, mostly U.S.-based, imagine that, working to advance the cause of global markets and the CIA agenda. The first tier of the 9 giant firms that dominate the world are Time Warner, AOL, Disney, ABC, Bertelsmann, Viacom, CBS, Rupert Murdoch's News Corporation, Fox, General Electric, NBC, Sony, Universal, Seagram, Telecommunications, Inc., or TCI, and AT&T. Now, we know that the last time I heard or saw six corporations owned all of the media. And I don't know if that's changed. And another thing is, when talking about Fox, they give you a little truth, but they still do not give you the full truth. And it is owned by Rupert Murdoch. He is a snake. You know, can't trust Fox News. But you do get a little more news, but you get more news from RT. And OAN is pretty good. Those are the new ones that are not RT, but OAN, One News is a good one. If anybody wants to go check it out, on you can find it on YouTube also. But this goes on to say, this is just the head of the octopus, which has its second and third tier tentacles working together in unison or feigning division. This would include the Washington Post, Newsweek, the New York Times, Weekly Standard, Tribune Company, U.S. News, Gannett, USA Today, Dow Jones Wall Street Journal, Washington Times, Knight Ridder, etc. A good site to visit for more information is Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting, a public interest media watchdog group at fair.org. Media propaganda tactics include blackouts, misdirections, expert opinions to echo the establishment line, smears, defining popular opinions, mass entertainment distractions, and Hobson's choice. The media presents the so-called conservative and liberal positions. Who controls the media? The subversion of the free press by the CIA, the depraved spies and moguls of the CIA Operation Mockingbird. The CIA, America's premier international terrorist organization and virtual government, CIA Mind Control Operations in America by Alex Constantine are an excellent source of information on this topic. And you can find that at alexconstantine.50megs.com. And lastly, I want to have to make this into parts, because if I went on with this, it could really go on for a good little while. But I want to make this in parts, and the next one, like I said in the comments, tell me what y'all want to talk about, and we'll talk about it. But David Guyett has written books and many articles, including one entitled Subverting the Media at deepblacklies.co.uk /subverting_the_media.htm, when there are two articles called A Timeline of CIA Atrocities and The Origins of the Overclass by Steve KANGAS that are very informative, although from a more liberal perspective. Steve will not be writing any more articles as he is no longer with us, having unfortunately met his untimely death that was apparently from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. If you read about him on his webpage that is still available, you will see that he did not seem like a person who was suffering from deep depression. In his memory, please take the time to read what he wrote at www.corpios.org. And I will leave that in the description as well. I'm going to leave it here, and I'll be making a part 2, because I don't want this to be too long, because like I said, this is my first video. And if you like it, let me know. So I thank everyone for joining me, and we'll go deeper and deeper. And they won't like it. I hear that YouTube is on the 10th of December is going to be changing their what you can upload and whatnot, and just another form of communism, Anyway, I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.